purification.
All the evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and folly, born of my body, mouth, and thought, I now confess and purify them all.
Mumonkan, the Gateless Gate, Case 9, Daistu Chisho Buddha. A monk asked Koyo Seijo, Daistu Chisho Buddha sat in the Zen for 10 kalpas and could not attain Buddhahood. He did not become a Buddha. How could this be? Seijo said, your question is quite self-explanatory. The monk asked, he meditated so long, why could he not attain Buddhahood? Seijo said, because he did not become a Buddha. Mumon's comment. I allow the barbarian's realization, but I do not allow his understanding. When an ignorant man realizes it, he is a sage. When a sage understands it, he is ignorant. Mumon's verse. Better emancipate your mind than your body. When the mind is emancipated, the body is free. When both body and mind are emancipated, even God and spirit ignore worldly power. I'm glad that we are able to meet in this way. This is already December, except the year-ending New Year's Eve meeting. 2016 is going to over with this Zazenkai. this koan is especially interesting. And I'd like to present wholeheartedly as much as I could. So it's a Chinese story, yet modern American story, human story. Mu story. So once a monk asked, Koyo Seijo Zenji, I understand Daistu Chisho Buddha sat in Zazen for 10 kalpas and could not attain Buddhahood. He did not become a Buddha. How could this be? Kalpa is called go in Japanese. The long, uncountable, uncalculatable length of time. So it's not only attending a session a few times, 10 times, or did Zazen for 50 years. It's not like that. Daistu Chisho Buddha sat in Zazen thousands, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million times, 1 billion times. Yet could not become a Buddha. Why could this be? So for this, according to this translation, your question is quite self-explanatory, or your question is splendid indeed. The monk still asked, he meditated so long, why he could not attain Buddhahood? Seijo said, because he did not become a Buddha. This last one is the key point of this. The Buddha could not become more Buddha. That's a point. There was the French man called Samuel Beckett, and he wrote a play called Waiting for Godot. And I'm sure everybody knows about the story. Waiting, waiting 10 kalpas, 10,000 kalpas, but no God appeared. So this, I don't know whether he got a hint from this koan or not. Waiting for Godot is exactly the same spirit. But God is here from the very beginning. Why he needed to appear? That's the point. Waiting for Godot. Many of you may be waiting for self-realization. And then from time to time, it's better for you to think about Samuel Beckett, Waiting for Godot. Another story. Once a new student came to Ryutakuji, where I was trained. And during Dokusan time, he went to Genpo Roshi's. According to the tradition, he did Dokusan etiquette. And Genpo Roshi asked him, "Why did you come here?" The student answered, "I wanted to become a Buddha. I want to be enlightened." Genpo Roshi seriously said, "You are already enlightened." Of course, he did not get it. And most of you may not get it. But didn't you remember that a few minutes ago we recited the Song of Zazen, and the first sentence goes, "The sentient beings are primarily all Buddhas, and you are one of the sentient beings, and you are primarily Buddhas." This is fundamental truth. With self-realization, you can nod, that's right. But without that, why in this existential world there is greed, anger, stupidity, jealousy, and so on and so forth? Are they also Buddha? Yes, but need some explanation. Just think, each one of you think. Everyone has pride. You are all well educated, academically educated, and some of you may have PhD degree. So naturally, you may have pride in education. That's fine. And yet, each one of you, in one way or another, has a complex. So friction between pride and complex. This is a really serious matter. Pride is one thing, and complex is another thing. And yet, in one individual's body and mind, it constantly appears. How can we solve this problem? Then, I'm talking in existential, so-called real world problem, emotional problem, psychological problem. And then, at one point, looking at someone else, and he or she looks somehow transcendent all this friction. And we feel that it's envious. Envy is okay. More envy, more envious. And at one point it becomes jealousy. This is what is happening in human world. And yet, when we come here and said, Hakuin Zenji said, sentient beings, and that I am one of the sentient beings, I primarily Buddha. Full of jealousy, full of complex, full of agony, full of depression, full of concern. And in my understanding, you may say, Buddha is impeccable, peaceful, wonderful. What is it? How can we put this together? And thus we start Zazen. And I assume, and most likely 99.9%, my assumption is right. And if not, please raise your hand. So now it becomes 100% right. So this Teisho, he did not become a Buddha. Is, I think, misleading. Could not is more accurate. Buddha cannot become more Buddha. Still, there's a gap between fundamental reality and existential reality. How can we put them together? So I'll tell you another episode. This will give you some hint. So it happened in London, and thus have I heard from so and Roshi. In London, there is still, I think, still in existence, Christmas pamphlet is a name, and he had organized a sort of a small Buddhist group, and used to publish a book called The Middle Way. So neither Mahayana nor Theravada, neither Shin nor Zen, so include everything. So one day, Sowan Roshi was asked to give a lecture for the British Buddhist. And just before the lecture began, he felt that it is necessary for him to go to the bathroom. So he went down, and the door was closed. And he somehow assumed that someone is inside. So he came back to his room. And the lecture time is approaching, and his desperation is also become more and more desperate. So this time he went down toilet once more, and with fist he knocked the door. Nobody answered. So he opened. Nobody was there. The point is, it's been empty from the very beginning. Like waiting for Godot. Like Genpo Roshi is saying, you are already enlightened. So I have been talking to this fundamentally enlightened Buddha and existentially miserable human beings. How all these two aspects be together? So when we speak pride or arrogance or depression or complex, we are so much involved with that negativity and could not even think the word of compassion, for example, or kindness, for example, thoughtfulness, for example. When we are so much occupied with the negative aspect of everyday life. And the more it goes to the negative, the negativity invites negativity. Right? How do you know? That's how somehow it goes that way. If, on the other hand, beautiful day and some good news came and somehow feels great, our heart becomes warm and cheerful, and thinking become positive. And positivity with just positive spirit. The same is true. Positivity invites or attract positivity. Right? How do you know? Because this is a universal truth. It is true in Europe. It is true in America. It is also true in Asian countries. Now, still, we are talking two different aspects. One is a miserable aspect, greed, anger, stupidity, jealousy, etc., 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 etc. And the other one is you don't have to do, you have sat Daistu Chisho Buddha sat in Zazen 10 kalpas and could not become Buddhahood. Why is it so? Because he is Buddha from the beginning. How can Buddha become more Buddha? And that part is a bit difficult for you. Maybe. That's the reason why once a month, or maybe each one of you are sitting at home, sort of cleaning, purifying this anyway, the reason why we do Zazen, the reason why we do this kind of exercise, the reason why we circulate our chi instead of constipation, okay? Constipation, mental, psychological constipation is going to negativity, yes? Maybe it's inappropriate word, but since I have no vocabulary for that stuck condition, so I use constipation, emotional constipation. When constipation is solved, somehow negativity moves to positivity. And on top of it, if you attend session after session with conviction on the faith, the faith that this practice will bring for our awakening, or put this way, to be grateful for our own karma, to be able to meet the Dharma. Behind the Ungan, there is a calligraphy. It said, Shinran wa deshi ichi nin mo motazu soro, which means Shinran, the founder of Pure Land School, said that I don't have even one single disciple, literally, and yet thousands of people follow Shinran's teaching. Why is this so? The Shinran's point is, if Shinran said, oh, he is my student, she is my disciple, it's not that kind of level. It's all endless dimension, universal life, Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha's decision or another way to say, it's not Shinran's charm, or it's not Shinran's virtue, but each one of you have your own karma to be a Buddhist. Or if half Buddhist, fine. At least you have a chance to do Zazen. And that is a way to one day, for a most unexpected way, you will see, Buddha was right. Mountains and rivers, cars, and trees, all are fundamentally enlightened. With greed, with jealousy, with etc., 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 yet not at all disturbing. You can laugh at what you suffered in the past. I spent many years for unnecessary or unenlightened self-dilemma, such as pride and complex. This pride and complex, when it is negatively looking at things, this is a serious problem. But when we can see it from positively, from an enlightened point of view, it's really cute. And this is where the necessity of first to be grateful to our own karma, to have a chance to meet the Dharma. And now we met in the Dharma, and not only that, we chanted the sutra, not only that, we sat, and as of now, your mind goes shift most of the time in a negatively, but we can see the purpose or goal is transcendental, either negative or positive, transcend. Okay, that's the way it is, in a real sense. And when one can taste the it's hard to describe that state of mind. We are here, yet our mind is completely different dimension. I have never had LSD, but I had the, how do you call this? Marijuana once or twice. And felt, wow, this is quite something. And yet it was not, I'm not addicted, and I don't know how to get it now. So a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, and then now, what I'm telling you is, when I had this same place, same being, but different state of mind. And they told me that if I had stronger, how do you call it, drug, that's even great. Fortunately or unfortunately, I did not have a chance to do so, and I have not at all interested. But in connection with this, I tell you one story, another. When it was 1948 or 49, so right after the World War II, Soen Roshi came to Los Angeles to meet Nyogen Senzaki, and that was the first time. At that time, someone suggested Soen Roshi, please take this. So, what is this? It's called LSD. So he's a man of curiosity. He wanted to do anything. So he took LSD. And according to his description, it was unsuccessful one, and all kind of memories and dreams and so on and so forth came endlessly. That's Aldous Huxley.
Adolf Huxley.
Yeah. Anyway, the conclusion is, he told me, Tyson, never take LSD. And I'm glad she experimented, and so I asked him, what's the difference between LSD and Kensho self-enlightenment? Totally different. Totally different. Junk is easy to get. This is the comment he said. Anyway, we are here. Still, most of you are too much in existential reality, and yet we found a path, and keep going, and someday, if not this lifetime, next lifetime, we will be able to see, oh, Hakuin Zenju was great. Sentient beings are primarily all Buddhas. Sentient beings are primarily enlightened. And when this is experienced, testified, then what is called positivity and what is called negativity becomes one, and in the midst of the struggle of negativity, we are not disturbed. This is, I love the word imperturbability. This is the key word. We are perturbed. Most of you are so far perturbed, but our aim is to get the imperturbable state of mind. This is the conclusion of 2016, and let's march on. Hey!